Sydney's coasts are lined with seawalls that protect areas of human habitation. In the past, they have also been used as retaining walls for reclaimed land.
Tony Wales, riverkeeper on the Georges River, and it's my job to look after the ecological health and biodiversity of the Georges River system.
Tony says there's a long history of seawalls in Sydney.
In the 1950s and the 1960s, large areas of the foreshores around the lower and mid Georges River were reclaimed. It was salt marsh, mangroves, and with construction going on in the area, a lot of the soil was dumped along the shorelines to create extra parkland. A lot of our parkland around the river, a lot of the foreshore parks are made up from landfill, and to retain that landfill, seawalls were built.
Marine expert Dr. Paul Gribben from the University of Technology, Sydney, says foreshore enhancements must be put in place to prevent erosion.
Under a changing climate, global change, we're predicting that there's going to be a lot more storm events. Storms will be more frequent, they'll be more harsh. So those environments that are lower down the catchments, that are really exposed to wave and wind action, are going to erode much more quickly than they already are. So we need to be able to deal with that, and we need to be able to stop that. And one of the ways to do that is, unfortunately, to change the nature of those coastlines to prevent that erosion from happening. Now, if we take Sydney Harbour, for example, more than 50% of the Sydney Harbour coastline has been transformed to seawalls.
Today we're left with, that legacy of having much of our length of foreshores lined with seawalls, and over time they need maintenance and repairs.
Daniel Wycheck, Senior Natural Resource Officer from the Office of Environment and Heritage, says that vertical seawalls provide little habitat for marine organisms.
So you've changed the habitat type. Man-made foreshores typically result in the loss of all the natural habitats of your natural foreshores. When you build your seawall, typically you result in the loss of a lot of the natural components. Things like your vegetation is one of the first things that you lose. And then you're really limiting the amount of actual area for habitat on the seawall.
So man-made structures have certainly changed the dynamics of some of the systems. The artificial substrata are certainly necessary to prevent erosion and promote development of our foreshore. I mean, that's been necessary as our population's grown. We can't avoid that. But the problem is that because we've created so many, and they're sometimes so different, or previously have been so different to normal systems, is that they've changed some of the, maybe not the entire ecosystems, but certainly the types of animals that are there and the relationships between the animals that exist on those rocky shores.
Tom Heath, the Catchment Management Officer from Cogra City Council, says man-made seawalls have led to the reduction in biodiversity.
A lot of the Cogra catchment is man-made, has a lot of man-made armouring, so that's a lot of vertical seawalls. So habitat range of intertidal organisms is pretty low. It's pretty rare to have a lot of habitat range in the intertidal foreshore in comparison to a natural system.
The question is, how can we manage our coasts in a way that can accommodate both humans and aquatic life? Daniel Wycheck wrote the Sydney Catchment Authority's Guideline for Environmentally Friendly Seawalls.
Yeah, the idea with building environmentally friendly seawalls is to try to maximise, one, the amount of area of habitat, and I guess two, having as much variety and diversity of habitat types.
Cogra City Council has been using the guide as part of their foreshore improvement plans.
We used a couple of the ideas that they had and a couple of ideas that we had of our own. So we wanted to increase the slope, so the range of habitat within the system. The Dover Park seawall that was here previously was pretty dilapidated. Wasn't really a great habitat range also. So we decided to develop an environmentally friendly seawall that was a bit different to other ones. We developed rock pools, so we had the holding of water at low tide, which a lot of man-made seawalls don't have, and we also create it with crevices and boulders and slope and stuff like that, so creating great habitat range.
Though it's too early to tell at this stage, Tom Heath says the outlook is positive.
Each of the pool now has a high covering of green algae and brown algae and things like that, which you see in rock pools. So that's a major increase in comparison to what was here previously. Over the summer, we're hoping that the migration of intertidal organisms into this area will occur.
The changes will allow the animals and plants within the river system to re-establish habitats in the area.
Not all of them will come back, but some will. So we'll definitely improve the biodiversity. It's not possible to return it to pre-1770 Captain Cook visit, but we can get back there to a certain degree.
The project at Dover Park East is just a small step towards creating a more environmentally friendly catchment. Overall, catchment health will improve.
We're encouraging the migration of intertidal organisms into Cogra Bay through the stepping stones of each of the seawalls. So we're hoping that in a couple of years' time, with the introduction of more projects like this throughout the bay and throughout the Georges River, we'll be increasing biodiversity throughout.
These environmentally friendly seawalls in these urban settings like Sydney, you're very limited in the environmental improvements you can do in these areas, and the foreshore is, I think, being able to do these types of works and have these small wins in a number of areas starts to really add up over time.